gentlemen, welcome to this panel discussion on the fusion of artificial intelligence and data. Today, we have the privilege of hosting a diverse group of experts representing the public sector, oil and gas, real estate, and the FSI industries. Our purpose is to delve into the relationship between AI and data and explore the profound implications it holds for these sectors. Allow me first to introduce our panelists. Wael is an advisor in the field of AI and advanced analytics at ADDA. He brings over 12 years of hands-on experience on building end-to-end AI products and strategies. Awad is the head of AI at ADNOC Distribution. Awad is an award winner of Best AI and Machine Learning Use Case Implementation for Energy and Utilities, and has proven records of architecting, orchestrating, and running enterprise IT digital transformation programs. Aruna is the head of Data and Analytics at Emaar Properties. Aruna is a data analytics leader, empowering data-driven innovations. She comes with more than 15 years of experience across real estate, hospitality, entertainment, telco, and retail sector. Srinivasan Sampath is the acting CTO of First Abu Dhabi Bank. He has more than 25 years of experience in the banking industry, specialized in creating business value, employee engagement, and strengthening business relationships. He has delivered several large integration programs in multiple regions. Welcome again.
Thank you.
We're gathered today at a time where data has become the new currency and AI has emerged as a transformative force. And we stand at the crossroad of limitless opportunities. The fusion of data and AI is reshaping industries and redefining what is possible. So today, along with our esteemed panelists, we will explore the opportunities, the challenges, the ethical considerations associated with this conversion. And maybe let me start with you, Wael, to maybe try to discover what is the art of possible with AI. And maybe with your experience in public sector, if you can tell us a bit more, how has AI impacted the landscape in your organization or in the public sector, and what are the key challenges and opportunities it presents?
Thank you, Jihad, and thank you, everyone, for attending this conference. Before I answer this, I just would like to see how many of us heard about the term fusion. Either it's a data fusion or it's an AI fusion. OK, 1, 2. So in a nutshell, the fusion is about merging different, it could be data fusion, like features of the data, or AI fusions, like the ensemble models or the models when we have AI models and we need to score each and come up with which model to go with. And to answer the question, Jad, with or without AI, the data landscape and the data fusion is happening. 20 or 25 years ago, we started to talk about data warehouse, then data lake, then we have a hybrid data warehouse and data lake. Then we jumped to data fabric, and now we started to talk about data mesh. Opportunities are limitless, as you rightly said. And I believe that the use of AI to uncover the potentials of data, the 5 V's of the data is growing, is evolving. We no longer use the traditional data tools. We started even to involve AI models in checking the quality of the data using outlier detection models, doing some profiling of the data, going beyond the descriptive dashboards, and then implementing more advanced techniques to understand the data and then build the products of AI, or either could be descriptive or diagnostic analytics. So that's in a very nutshell.
So it's clear that the opportunities are there and the business impact is there. And maybe I'd like to turn over to you, Awad, as someone who's clearly passionate about machine learning and has seen the business impact of data science use cases in the organization. How do you see the fusion of data and AI impacting industries like oil and gas? And maybe what business benefits have you realized out of this fusion and out of implementing these use cases in the organization?
OK, thanks, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So basically, the impact of AI and machine learning is very clear. But if we go back one step, this actually started with the data analytics. So usually companies all around the globe, in any industry, banking, retail, transformation, or being in oil and gas, they use data for decision making. So it used to be a pure descriptive analytics, where you build reports and dashboard. This is on the past. But organizations who have amount of data, which we call them now the new fuel or the new currency, they can actually take that to the next step by implementing an AI, and you can start simple. So industries that I see personally being involved in this domain for more than 10 years now, industries that focus more with the end users, like B2C, retailers, and so on, they start taking advantage quickly. So in ADNOC distribution, we represent the retail and marketing arm of ADNOC, which is Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. So we deal every day with more than 2 or 3 million customers. So using data, we found a lot of potential where we can actually send personalized offers, understand customer behavior, and even able to generate more revenue. So the 2 use cases that we have implemented recently, and one of them targeted towards consumer like you, there is customer segmentation model has been implemented, where we profile each and every customer in the country, and we understand your behavior in terms of what product you like to purchase, at what time, and what is the price sensitivity that every individual have. So with this model, we are able to turn up extra revenue. And this revenue in a business like us, we talk about millions of dollars. The second critical use case, which is in operation. If you visit any ADNOC distribution petrol station, we never run out of fuel. Every product is available throughout the day because we do something called advanced demand prediction, which is basically using AI to predict when the fuel will run out in every station. And using that, we are ensuring that no customer visits us either at night or morning or evening and doesn't find the right product at the right time. So this has saved, again, in the operation, millions of dollars. So this is just example of use cases that we have implemented and in production that shows the value. So across industries, yes, there is value, but there is a key principle elements or a foundations that has to be in place. And I will touch around that, I think, in the following questions.
Thanks, Awad. And speaking maybe of the impact of AI on decision making, I'd like maybe to turn it over to Aruna. So we know that the real estate sector is historically a traditional sector reliant on human intervention. And it's, of course, one of the sectors that's highly disrupted by AI today. So what do you see the impact of AI on the real estate sector, on the decision making, of how you interface with customers today, and what sort of business impact has this achieved?
When we talk about AI and automation, especially in the real estate industry or in the malls industry, it is actually re-engaging the businesses. And there is a lot of things which is boosting up the productivity and innovation within the company. And also, it is giving us a wider canvas. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
There's something wrong with the mic. Back up.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So when we think about AI and automation in the real estate industry, it is actually re-imaging our business. It is actually boosting a lot of productivity and innovation within the company. And it's giving us a wider canvas where we can think of bigger use cases and go ahead and implement it. As in Emaar, we have around like 100+ intelligent solutions which are implemented across all our verticals, like different business units. And these are some things which will be like, some of the automations will be like enabling the business to take a decision, or sometimes the bot itself will be taking the decisions on behalf of the users. Or sometimes it might be like, just automating a time-consuming job. So if I can pick 2 or 3 out of it, one of the major use case which we did on the automation side is the bank daily reconciliation reports, which was like, we have to reconcile the bank statement across 400+ of our accounts against each of the enterprise, like we have multiple enterprise systems as well for different business. So each transaction happening in these enterprise system has to be reconciled. And it was like a 4 or 5 people full-time job. And what we did is like, we bought in bots which will be automating these jobs. So it will, it will generate the soft tokens, which will generate a one-time password, download all these bank statements, and it will reconcile the reports automatically. And the most interesting part of it was that it will summarize the data for you. The reconciliation output will be summarized and automatically sent to the finance team. So they don't have to, sit and reconcile anything. These all happens within hours, like 1 or 2 hours. And finally, they can decide on like what went wrong and take a decision accordingly. The other one is like the audit, in our, like especially in our community management, audit is very critical. It will be internal audit, government audits will be there, RERA audits will be there. So we have automated all the audit reports across the 100+ communities which we have. That will also, streamline the processes to a greater extent. We can just take decisions out of it. And the another automation which we have done across our malls is, as many of you might be using that feature, like in Dubai Mall, if you shop, you will win the Skyward Miles, Emirates Skyward Miles. So what you have to do is you have to scan that receipt to our Dubai Mall app, and eventually there will be people who will be manually looking into it, validating it, and then awarding you the miles, which was usually taking 14 days. And now we have implemented bots across it. So the bot itself will take the decision whether to approve it or to reject it. And maybe like 10% of the cases where the bot is not able to, 10% of the cases where the bot is not able to identify these use cases, it will be automatically redirected to the instance. Similarly, for our reimbursements also across the company, we have done this where, the reimbursement claims also, the HR, 2-3 HR people used to manually validate it. That also got automated. Now, when it comes to the AI part of it, we have utilized our data to bring up with some predictive or forecasting as well as recognition models in the back end. And one of the use case will be our property sales forecast. In the property sales forecast, we will be forecasting the sales for the next quarter or for the next year, which will help our inventory team and the sales team to better manage their operations. They will know how to put the inventory, when to launch a new product, or whenever we are doing a new property launch, which is our customers who have to be targeted as, or which nationality we have to be focusing more on. Similarly, when it comes to the malls, from the malls business, it will be what is the rent amount which we will be leasing each of our units at, each of our stores at, right? So we have tenant pricing models also in the back end, which will be a benchmark for our retail relationship team. They will be benchmarking the negotiations based on these prices which we have put forward, which will help them to negotiate better to get a better rental prices. In addition to this, we have implemented a lot of website crawling and scrapping initiatives also, which might not be relevant to other business, but when it comes to real estate business or hospitality or attraction, it becomes really important to understand what the market trend is, what our competitors are doing. Especially in Dubai, the good thing with Dubai is like all the real estate information is fairly available to the public. Even DLD publish all the, what are the sales happening, what is your primary market, secondary market, etc. So we can scrap this information, merge it with our own data, and provide valuable insight. And this is one of the main inputs for our sales forecast as well. And also going through the online ratings, what is our Google rating or TripAdvisor rating, Booking.com ratings. There and all these scrapping initiatives have really helped us to benchmark ourselves against the competitors in the industry.
So a lot of business value drawn out of automation, AI, and aided also by the availability of public data. So Sampath, maybe as the CTO of one of the largest banks in the region, we know that the FSI industry was the early adopter of AI, right? They were classical use cases which had proven business value. So I was wondering today, where do you see opportunities for automation and AI in the FSI industry? Is it uncovering more use cases? Is it more around democratizing AI across the entire organization?
Yeah, I think there is several new use cases which we can leverage from the large amount of data that we collect today. Over the years, the way in which we collect the data has become much more, better, clean, and also we collect data from various sources. This is not only from the internal data that we gather, but we also, collect the data from external sources. So when you try to integrate and combine the data of external, internal source, also the customer behavior, I mean, on a day-to-day basis, you find that using AI, there are various benefits that you can, deliver to the business, because the market dynamics are changing, the geopolitical situation is changing, the business growth at different sectors are changing. So how do we help business on a particular industry or a particular sector and give them enough information so that the business is able to take some informed decisions based on AI models, analytics, insights into different sort of market trends, customer behaviors, customer sentiments. So it becomes much more relevant and informed decision that the business can make and predict what will be the outcome of the decision that they will make now using the data. So there are several use cases which we have. And across different business lines, not only from a business growth perspective, we also look at AI at credit decisioning. We are also, AI looking at the fraud prevention. We are looking at AI at cyber security. We are looking at AI at financial MIS. Today, most of the decisions, either in your executive committee or the board, is based on the data that is driven through a lot of AI that we are doing. Mm-hmm. And using the power of various AI tools and the data that we have, we can take into a very granular level of details in a sort of an executive meeting if they want to deep dive into a specific area and understand the granular details of data in that particular area. Today, using AI and the power of tools, it can be done right away in the boardroom. You don't need to go back, do analysis and come back with the results on that. The opportunities are right away available for the management to take a decision. So from a use case perspective, also from a capital adequacy ratio calculation, applying a lot of asset liability models where you churn a huge amount of data, historical data, which you want to look at the trends, which look at the financials. I think all this with the use of existing AI tools and techniques, it gives us an enormous amount of benefit across the organization to either the customer-facing business verticals or the support functions. Mm-hmm.
So AI really venturing out of maybe the core business and really touching every aspect of the organization.
Every aspect of it, yeah.
So maybe back to you, Wael, as AI becomes more prevalent and more mature and being used by a wider range of users. Obviously, public sector entities handle large amount of data, and in a lot of cases, it's quite sensitive data. So what do you think, in your opinion, should be the considerations when it comes to data governance and the ethical use of AI technology?
So maybe 5 or 6 years ago, the challenges that we were facing in this were more into the capabilities of AI platforms as well as the skills. However, nowadays, I believe the challenges are more into the governance of the data plus AI, as well as how do we make sure that we create a proper operating model between different departments, building the right product, doing the right assessment of that product. And to answer your question again, there are multiple techniques, there are multiple frameworks by the likelihood of big consulting firms, Accenture, PwC, where they started to, even Microsoft, by the way, where they started to speak about responsible AI framework, in which we need to make sure that our AI models are not just working perfectly in an accurate manner. However, they follow the same, or they follow an acceptable level of ethics, and we call it ethics in AI, different metrics, different frameworks, even different toolkits that we are implementing to make sure that the models are properly not just built, but even used. So this is one of the governance, this is one of the, I would call it a proper operating model for the AI, considering the responsible AI frameworks.
Great. So Awad, Wael spoke about responsible AI. In oil and gas, we know that transparency, accuracy are of utmost importance when it comes to implementing use cases. So do you see a similar trend when it comes to interpretable AI? Do you need your models to be open, interpretable? Do you see a risk of, AI going wrong?
Okay, so this is a very important question. So basically, everything down to the accuracy of the data. So we don't enter into a use case if we do not have the right sources, which is trusted sources. And the sources are coming in two forms, either internal source, which is generated by digitization of systems like ERP, point of sale, drilling systems, and so on, or external sources. In this case, could be data coming from governments like municipality, public departments, and police, for example, armies, whoever that we deal with in a city planning. Because, so we use trusted data, and after that, there is a governance model. So the governance model is very simple. So basically, there is a governance team from the business who are actually taking ownership of the data, ensuring that this data is clean before it has been sent or entered in the systems. Then our role as an IT or an AI team actually comes to the picture, where data has already been verified by the business for its accuracy from the source, and then we take it all the way. But very important things, we use a platforms which is giving us explainable AI, which is very important. Because at the end, AI will generate for you a prediction or an outcome. But the question usually asked by the management, do I trust that? Yes or no? So what is the background of the AI to make it explainable AI? So explainable AI means you should be able to explain why the prediction said yes or no, or on what basis. So if you are able to achieve all that cycle, then the model is trusted, model can go to production, model can be implemented and being given in an operation like us. As I mentioned to you, the fuel demand use case is actually controlled 100% by AI. The full logistic and transportation of the fuel being delivered from the depot until to every station in the United Arab Emirates, which is 500 stations, are all done through AI. So if it is any mistake on sending the wrong shipment or wrong quantity, we are dealing with hazard products. This is fuel. It's not any other products. So the models are proven. There is explainable AI behind it, which is this why we use a software that is already being trusted by. There are many partners that work with us, and so those are all in place. And there is a governance. We use only authenticated sources of data. We use the governance platforms that governance the data, cataloging the data, data management. All those building blocks are in place, and this is the critical part before you engaging in any AI project.
If you allow me, Jad, to comment on this point, because it's a very important point, the explainable AI. The trusted data sources controls more the quality of the data that you use in ADNOC. And then what it comes in the explainable AI is the fairness or of the bias of the data. And I believe ADNOC maybe use plate recognition in their stations. However, if we'd like to build let's say a forecasting model, how many cars of type X would come here and how many, let's say, gender, if you are capturing the gender by any way, the explainable AI would tell us that it doesn't mean that because our data is 80-20, let's say 80 male, 20 female, that this would be the case, because now we would really start considering the bias and the fairness of our models. And I believe explainable AI would handle this as well as the responsible framework.
And helps, I guess, to get the buy-in from the business, because you're able to explain to the business why AI models are behaving this way and why we're predicting the way we're predicting.
Yes.
Maybe Aruna, in an industry that's customer-facing and following up on the point of ethical AI and governed use of AI, what do you think are the key risks and biases that organizations such as Emaar need to be aware of when leveraging AI to make data-driven decisions, and how do you make sure it doesn't go wrong?
Now we are in an era where we don't have to explain the importance of AI to anyone, right? But as the number of use cases are increasing in the AI, every organization has to make sure, or they have to ensure that all the models we have built and deployed are very transparent, responsible, as well as it should be explainable to someone. So with all these factors, the organization should be able to identify the risk and manage the risk properly. When we talk about risk, there can be many categories of risk which are associated with the AI. One of them will be the strategic risk, where we classify the strategic risk as like something which is associated with the AI strategy you have built. Sometimes we will be working on some use cases which might not be feasible, but we tend to realize it over a period of time. So identifying the right use cases for innovation is one of the main risks we are facing. The support from the executive leadership team is also very important, because building an AI model doesn't make any sense if there is no adoption from the stakeholders. So getting their buy-in, and also, sometimes there will be reluctance from the business groups also, because it's not always the same way the business will take it up, right? So, confirming their acceptance to these use cases. And also defining on the success criteria. Sometimes we get so overexcited that some interesting use case comes in, we gem and start building it. But the success criteria will not be defined for it because we are in our excitement. So defining those success criteria becomes more important because then only you can measure it, like whether you have implemented it in the right way, is it meeting the purpose, etc. And there will be a lot of technology risk where we will be finding the right skill set, right expertise, finding the right infrastructure for it, whether your infrastructure is scalable, where your models are performing better. And sometimes we will find a drift in the purpose also, right? We will start with a use case and suddenly there will be a change in the market scenarios, or there will be a change in the circumstances that at the end of the time when we build the use cases, it becomes obsolete. Nobody will be using it. So finding the right use case becomes very critical. And when it comes, and the next part will be like people and processes, because analytic use case is not something which can be built with only the analytics team. It involves a lot of coordination and communication and support from the other teams, like IT infrastructure team to be aware of, the security team should be involved, the business team, different business teams should be involved. So there will be always a chances in terms of risk, in terms of communication, coordination, and ownership also. Who owns what will be a problem. So to mitigate that risk, we should be having proper brainstorming sessions, business review sessions and all, and make all the people in the same lane and bridge any process gaps we should be having. And the most critical risk which every organization will be facing will be the ethical risk, which is associated with the AI bias. We all have a common myth that, AI, since it is a computer programmed one, will be inherently unbiased. But that is not the case always, because these algorithms are written by humans. The data set which is used to train the algorithms are also provided by the humans. And eventually how we want to use this data is also humans decide. So these algorithms are unbiased. As unbiased is the data and the people who are dealing with it. So to deal with it is very critical, because most of the times, this bias comes in several different forms. It can be the data which we use. The data quality will be poor. It might not be the correct data set which we are using to train the data. Or it will have a lot of data quality issues. Or it could be like, we are providing a data set where we have put a lot of importance or more data for a particular data type. And the model will suddenly realize that, okay, this data is more important than the other data types, and it will give more focus on it, which comes out to be a biased model. And all the data models which we train now is from the historical data which we use, which was handled by the humans. So any human bias which was there on those historical interpretations, definitely the model will learn that, and it will have a biased one. To avoid these biases, it will be more like, you put in all the proper governance in place, make sure that the data quality is met, and your data model is profound and it can meet all the requirements in a proper way, and it gives us a fair output to it.
Yeah. So human oversight, process, maybe using software to have explainable AI. So Aruna spoke about data quality, Sampath, and as an organization who's data heavy, what steps are taken in your organization to address the challenges of data quality, privacy, security, especially when you're handling these large amounts of data to build these use cases which have an impact on the business?
Yeah, I think, data quality and integrity of data is one of the, prime factors, especially when you are presenting your data to the decision makers, senior decision makers. It's important to ensure that the data quality and, integrity is maintained. So we have a very strong data governance process. So when you talk about data governance process, so how the way in which you collect the data, then way in which you transform the data, and way in which you validate the data, there should be a structured methodology in which you do it. So when you have that governance process properly defined for a different categories of data that you collect, and then the governance process makes sure that the sensitivity of the data is maintained, because we are dealing with financial information, and some of the data the data people will have access to sensitive data. So who has the right access rights in order to basically look at the data, because today from a data privacy perspective, there are a lot of regulations that we need to maintain the confidentiality of the data, and who sees the data is very important. I mean, even within an organization, you have clear segregation of lines between what sort of data each of the business lines can see, and there is no cross-functional data that is being shared between one line of business to other line of business, especially when you are dealing with data of high net worth individuals and sensitive, government sector data. We need to be really clearly defined governance process in terms of who has access to the data. So data governance from an, process perspective, and also we have a governance process in terms of an federated operating model, where there are certain aspects of the process is centrally controlled in a COE, and there is also federated, flexibility given to the respective businesses in terms of how they can consume the data. So that this is very, very critical. So data governance, quality, integrity, process, validation, transformation, and also, compliance to regulatory requirements. As we are an organization operating in multiple geographies, each regulator in each geography has a different sort of requirements in terms of maintaining the data privacy and controls. So how do we make sure that those controls are implemented, those risks are mitigated, so that the regulatory violation is not there and compliance is there? So all these aspects are taken into consideration from an a governance, quality, and a process perspective. So that gives us confidence, because any sort of a small anomaly in the data that you present to the stakeholders will completely shake the confidence and trust on the data. And that is something very important. If you lose the confidence and trust on the data that is being presented, then the entire things comes for a questioning on what's being done. So it's important to have that very, very structured governance process manages all these aspects.
And confidence that is, I suppose, of critical importance in an industry that is
it's an evolving
regulated.
process, right? I mean, you need to continuously monitor your data governance. And when you are continuously monitoring your data governance, I think one of the key factors that we take into consideration is education, awareness, and communication. I think you need to continuously keep educating your stakeholders, because when you present a data based on an AI models, the way they interpret the data has to be consistent, okay? A wrong interpretation of data might lead to a wrong decisioning process. So education of the data that is being presented is very important, because on the back end, you churn a huge amount of data and then throw a very small result which is used to make decisioning. So it's important to educate the consumers of data on how to interpret the data that is being, coming from these models. And continuously, you have to keep awareness of your stakeholders. What are the evolving technologies and what are the evolving models that's coming in? So they need to be aware about it, so that they can relate to how this evolving technologies and model can be used in their business. And communication, I think, is a very key aspect of it. You need to keep communicating on what's happening in different areas of data, what different data, new data sets are getting collected, and how it's going to be beneficial to them.
So similar patterns emerging across the industries. And maybe I'd like to conclude this panel by asking maybe a common question. So I'd like us to forward to 2050 and considering the rapid evolution of AI technologies, what emergent trends and advancements do you anticipate in the future, and how do you see them impacting your respective industries? Well,
So I believe there are two hot topics nowadays in the field of AI. The first one is the fusion, and I would really recommend everyone to read more about the AI fusion, and sometimes it's written in terms of multimodal fusion, which is the fusion of different modalities. And the second topic is GANs, which is the generative adversarial networks, which is booming, the likes of ChatGPT, the likes of other products in the market. These two, and I believe in the near future, would contribute much to the way that we are building our AI models, shifting from just using one type of data, one modality, to building more multimodality or multimodal data or multimodal AI models. That's it.
Thanks, Wael. Awad.
Yeah, in the very near future, you will see the shift that AI will be used across each and every job. So today, if you go to any organization, there will be specific people using these AI models. It could be maybe within a specific business, either finance or HR or maybe in the retail, but not the wide organization. So the shift that we are seeing that everyone will have something like a digital assistant. We can call it an advanced ChatGPT or an advanced generative AI, but there will be a form of a digital assistant, but in a very advanced way, where you will be interacting on a daily basis to get your job done quickly in an organization. We have seen that shift is going, and there is a direction also from management to embed this even in their day-to-day business. So someone will be sitting in the an executive rooms and asking questions to the system about the business. How the sales is doing in Dubai compared to Abu Dhabi? Why the sales is down? What is the reasons? How do we see it going down the road in the next 12 months? So all those questions start to come to us, and we see that shift going to happen. And I think mentioned by some of our colleagues from NASA that intelligent super AI models is going to come very soon. Because as you see now, all the building blocks are in place. The cloud is there, the AI solutions are there, the algorithms are there, the data is increasing internally and externally. So we are in an era that AI will be accelerating very fast.
Thanks, Awad. Aruna.
With the emergence of AI and automation, the main revolution will happen in the data space as well, where now itself, since the usage of more and more AI use cases are coming in, the companies are pushed to find more data sources as well. So we start exploring data as text as a data, or images as a data, the audio as a data. So this will have a big impact on the customer experience when we start leveraging all these, especially in the conversational AI space or the image processing space, etc. And crowdsourcing has become very prominent now, where you can collect. There are providers who can collect all the data which is available across the world for a particular data set. This becomes more revolutionary when it comes to conversational AI. If we start training our models with the data which we have, it will be very limited. In terms of the diversity or the language preference. But if you are training it with a crowdsourcing data set, it will allow you to expand more on whatever preferences it has. And synthesis data sets are also becoming very popular, where generative AI will create a data set which is with the fictional data sources, and this will be a training data set for another model. So you are getting a very diverse, high quality data set to train your models. And when it comes to the data analytics space also, right now we are discussing on how we are creating more AI models. But with this ChatGPT and generative AI coming into space, these can automate a lot of models. It itself can create the AI models for us. And when it comes to the intelligence part or the analysis part, right now we look at numbers, whether it is less than the target, or how are we performing against last year and all. But with the generative AI, more descriptive analytics also comes in, where it can put a description of the variances or description to the numbers. The conceptualization will happen in this space. So it will be an overall revolution, both in the data side, AI side, and the analysis front.
Thanks, Aruna. Sampath.
I think looking forward, our professional and personal life will be driven by AI. I think AI will be in the hands of everyone, and today we already carry so much of AI in our devices that we do. So most of our life will be driven by AI, and I think it will facilitate us to faster decision-making process. I think it will enable everyone for us to make decision much quicker. Either you want to go to mall and buy something, or you want to take a decision in your organization. It's all going to be driven by AI, and it will help us to really enable faster decision-making process.
Indeed. Thank you, everyone.